I want to remind all of my Arana Nation subscribers and fans that you can get your very first Arana Nation t-shirt by going down to the comment section of this video and clicking on the link that is pinned to the top of the comment section of this very video. And by clicking on that link, you'll be directed to the webpage where you can buy your very first Arana Nation t-shirt. Do it now so that the Arana Nation can raise money to continue growing this operation and making this operation, the Arana Nation, even better viewing for its wonderful subscribers and fans all over the world, because YouTube is continuously demonetizing our videos. And one thing that YouTube and all of these social media oligarchs need to realize is that the Arana Nation is 10 billion steps ahead of YouTube and the rest of these social media oligarchs. They can demonetize all they want, but we will just raise our own money. So go down to the comment section pinned at the top of the comment section of this video, click on it, and get your very first Arana Nation t-shirt. So if you're watching the news, you'll see that Donald Trump and Syria and Bashar Al-Assad and chemical weapons and Vladimir Putin are unfortunately in the news again. Now, I don't know about you, but I am sick of hearing about Russia on the television. I am sick of it. I am sick of hearing that Donald Trump and Russia hacked the election. I'm just sick of hearing the word Russia. If I hear Russia one more time, I'm going to throw my television out the window. And I will never listen to television or at least watch American news again. We'll just go back to our ancestors and play with sticks and stones like they used to do. And they had much better fun doing it too. And a much better and a healthier lifestyle too. But the thing that people are debating is, should Donald Trump bomb Syria in retaliation for allegations that they used chemical weapons against their own people? Well, this debate has happened before, and the Arana Nation supported 100% Donald Trump in his decision to bomb Syria the first time. And that was only because Bashar al-Assad is the reason why the Western countries are dealing with so many refugees from Syria and Iraq, because Bashar al-Assad, while claiming to want to destroy terrorists and ISIS, is doing it in such a way where his people are flowing over to Canada and the United States and Europe, and it's just causing extra headache for us. We have our own problems. We've got homeless people dying on the streets. We've got people in America who don't have health insurance and who are dying on the streets. We have so many people who are losing their jobs, partly because of the politicians in our country. And now we have to deal with the Syrian refugees who are coming to Syria thanks to violence in Syria, thanks to Bashar al-Assad. But here's the thing that people have to realize, is that back in 2003, George W. Bush and most of the English-speaking world decided to invade a country known as Iraq and get rid of a leader named Saddam Hussein, claiming that he had weapons of mass destruction, which he never had. And I actually was against the Iraq War. I didn't really care much about politics back then. I was in middle school. I was just coming out of elementary school. I really wasn't interested in it. But from what I heard, I was against the Iraq War. Mostly because, if you remember, the thing is that we couldn't prove that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction because the UN inspectors weren't going in to check. And that was mainly because Saddam Hussein wouldn't let them. But that was the thing. And I've always said, we can't just jump into a war without really knowing why we're going into war and without proof of why we're going into war. And if you also remember, Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda was the one that attacked the World Trade Center. They were the terrorists. We should have gone after them. And the American government and the American president, and I remember this very clearly, one of the reasons why I refused to support George W. Bush in 2004, and I supported John Kerry, even though looking back on it now, I think I would have probably supported Bush over Kerry, not because of Iraq, but because of other issues as well. But one of the biggest reasons was George W. Bush, and this is fact, he at one point said he wasn't interested anymore in Osama bin Laden. He didn't know where he was. It was like he had given up. He said that in a news conference. He had given up on Osama bin Laden. And so what does the guy do? He goes into Iraq. He focuses on Iraq. And as a result, Osama bin Laden won the Guinness Book of World Records for the best player of hide and seek. But we got him. Well, supposedly we got him. That's what the American government is saying. I mean, they didn't even show the picture of his dead body because they didn't want to gross anybody out. BS. Americans watch WWE on a daily basis. If they were grossed out by a little blood, WWE would be out of business, and Vince McMahon would be sleeping under a bridge selling used shoes. So that's that. But I think that we need to really have very, very good proof that Bashar al-Assad is doing this to his own people. We need to actually have 100% crystal clear proof before we jump in to any sort of battle with Syria. Now, Donald Trump is not calling this a battle. He is just throwing another few he's just shooting more missiles at Syria. But this could turn very ugly because Russia supports Syria. Now, with that being said, if Donald Trump does decide to shoot Syria with missiles, I'm not going to lose sleep over Bashar al-Assad. I'm not going to lose sleep over Vladimir Putin either. I'm just not. I don't care about Russia. I'm not a Russian. I have nothing to do with Russia. And the only reason why a lot of conservatives lately are just falling over themselves over Putin is because the liberals have told them to, basically. Well, not told them to, but have suggested that they do. And since we conservatives fall into this whole trap of doing what liberals say that we do? They're saying that we support Russia, and we support Putin, and we support Bashar al-Assad. That's what the liberals say. So a lot of these conservatives out there are now saying, well, they say we do it, so let's do it. Well, why would I want to do that? I don't want to fight Russia. I think we should make peace with Russia. I think we should make peace with anybody who's willing to make peace with us. But I'm not going to lose sleep over Vladimir Putin. And I'm not going to lose sleep over Bashar al-Assad with this lispy Bashar al-Assad with this Hitler mustache. I ain't going to do it. I don't know these people. I have nothing to do. I'm a Westerner. Thank you very much. But I do think that America and the Western world better have some very good, crystal clear proof that Bashar al-Assad is doing what they're claiming he's doing before they start shooting rockets into his country, because this could turn messy. Now, I do think that Bashar al-Assad is being very heavy-handed with the way he's dealing with his country, because his people, as a consequence, are now flowing into Western countries like Canada and the United States and in Europe. And it's causing heavy, heavy headaches and burdens for those regions. And he needs to stop that. And he needs to stop it now. And that's another reason why I wouldn't lose sleep over Donald Trump shooting missiles into Syria. And that's why I supported it the first time. But I want people to remember that there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, even though much of the English-speaking world, if not all of the English-speaking world, George Bush, Tony Blair, John Howard of Australia, all those guys said that there were weapons of mass destruction, and you were not a patriot if you didn't support Iraq. You were not a patriot. You saw what they did to France. They didn't say French fries, they said freedom fries, provoking the French. I mean, we destroyed so many relationships during that period, all for nothing. There were no weapons of mass destruction, and the so-called experts said there were. So we better be damn careful before we start throwing rockets into countries unfairly like that. Now, I shouldn't say completely unfairly, because as I said before, Bashar al-Assad is responsible for having a lot of his people flow into our country as refugees, and then our leaders just completely forsake us and forget about us. You see what the Mac Dad is doing in Canada? He has completely forgotten about Canadians, and he's bending over backwards over refugees who get free laptops, free dental care, and free college tuition, all that stuff. And Canadians don't get any of that. And the politicians all over the world are doing the same. So I really don't have sympathy for Bashar al-Assad, because I blame him for the refugee crisis, and I blame our politicians and our leaders in the West for feeding into it. But I do think that we should not start a war with Syria. And Donald Trump has made some suggestions saying that nothing is off the table. Well, that's why I've decided to make this video, because war needs to be off the table until we are sure that Bashar al-Assad has done what he said he's done. And even then, we have to maybe take war off the table. Why are we doing this? Why are we going to go to war? I mean, it's one thing to throw missiles into someone's country and they don't do anything about it. But it's another thing to go to war with another country over something that really doesn't concern us. I mean, really, the politicians can say that we're not accepting any more Syrian refugees, and that's that. But the thing about it is that we're going to war for him claiming to be fighting ISIS. But really, I think we should go to war when we are attacked. That's when we should go to war. You saw what happened in Iraq. Saddam Hussein is gone, and now Iraq is completely ungovernable. Muammar Gaddafi is gone, and Libya is basically the university of ISIS. There's slavery going on in Libya right now. Black people being enslaved by Arabs. And by the way, it was the Muslims and the Arabs, the Islamic people, who started the slave trade. And now it's happening in Libya right now. And Muammar Gaddafi, and I'm no fan of Muammar Gaddafi, but one thing you can't say about Muammar Gaddafi was that he was racist against black people. He actually adored black people, and black people from all over the world adored him. Now, I'm not saying I did, but a lot of black people did. But we should be very careful before we start using the W word again. I am all for military might. I believe in building up your military so that your opponents can be too damn scared to go up against you. But we have to be very careful before we start using the W word with Syria, because we could be making a very huge mistake. Bashar al-Assad is a terrible human being. I have no care for him. I don't have any interest in him. But I do know for a fact, and because I'm a history person, that getting rid of him, which many people in the West want to do, will just invite ISIS to take over Syria. But at the same time, one has to remember that Bashar al-Assad is being very heavy-handed with his people, and it's him who has caused the Syrian refugee crisis. This is the Arana Nation.